All right, welcome back, guys. This is episode 2 of our podcast. This time we're focusing on a TV show instead of a movie, and we decided to talk about one of our probably favorite shows right now, Lucifer.
Yes. All right. So, to give you a basic kind of background on what it is, and then we'll explain kind of the cast. So basically, this whole series is a modern take on the Bible, kind of like the story of Lucifer Morningstar, aka the devil, which I personally think is interesting. So Lucifer Morningstar gets tired of ruling hell or being in hell and decides to take an extended vacation to Earth, specifically Los Angeles, because it's the city of angels. And so he likes that kind of play on words. And he goes with his loyal demon friend and servant Mazikeen, aka Maze, to see what Earth is all about. So basically, once he's on Earth, he literally just vibes the whole time. He opens up a club called Lux, which encourages pretty much all forms of debauchery, and he uses his powers of persuasion to and kind of his devilish tendencies to give out favors to random humans. After 5 years of doing his thing, one of his original people that he gave a favor to, a person who has now become a huge pop star in the entertainment industry, and who someone he's become pretty good friends with, is killed right after visiting his club to thank him. He is immediately enraged and vows to find out whoever killed her and make them pay. And so basically, he's trying to solve this case on his own. But while on his quest for vengeance, he continually comes into contact with a detective that's also working on the case, aka Detective Chloe Decker. And so originally, he starts working with her because he wants to solve the case of his friend's death. But he stays and continues working with her because Detective Decker is actually the only one that his powers of persuasion do not work on, and is the only person he's invincible or invulnerable. He's not invincible or invulnerable around, so he can actually get hurt when he's around her. And so he wants to figure out why that is. Long story short, they solve the case together, and then this begins a sort of partnership between the two that we see grow throughout the entire show.
Yep, that's the most basic plot summary that we can give without going into specifics for each season and character growth. Before we get into maybe discussing what happens in this newest season that came out on Netflix, just the characters, right? Lucifer is played by Tom Ellis. I don't really know him from anything else other than this show.
He was in this
Yeah.
Merlin show, like a British company, and I loved Merlin. He played like a king, so he's always had that kind of authoritative type deal.
Yeah, really leaned in on his British side for his acting. Yeah, Chloe Decker, the detective, is played by Lauren German. I previously saw her on Hawaii Five-O, but still haven't seen her in that many things. Her IMDb or whatever says that she was in Chicago Fire or PD. So I mean, some people might know her from that. Then another detective who's actually Chloe Decker's ex-husband, Dan, or as Lucifer likes to call him, Detective Douche, is played by Kevin Alejandro. Lucifer's brother and fellow angel Amenadiel is played by D.B. Woodside. Then there's a doctor that a lot of, specifically Lucifer likes to go to, but we start to see other characters go to her as well. Dr. Linda Martin, she's a psychiatrist. She's played by Rachel Harris. And then finally, we have our lovable forensic scientist, Ella Lopez, who's played by Amy Garcia. All right, so that about covers all of the main characters that you probably will see throughout the show. And okay, so now would be the spoiler alert, because this is where we'll start to go into maybe more details of season 5. So if you haven't watched it, watch it and then listen to this.
For sure.
All right.
Okay, so do you want to go into first the different plot points and antagonists for each season, and then talk specifically about season 5?
Oh, like kind of like go more into like what happened in like seasons 1 through 4 before the
Yeah,
season.
set up this.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right.
Yeah.
So, in the first season, it's mostly about like Lucifer and like how basically people are trying to convince him. So Amenadiel comes down in the first episode and tries to convince Lucifer to go back to hell where he belongs, quote unquote. And so when that doesn't really work out, Amenadiel stays on Earth and tries to help Lucifer like mend his devilish ways. So much of the first season is dedicated to kind of Lucifer figuring out where he belongs and constantly being told he's not supposed to be on Earth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny to think that like season 1 Amenadiel is actually the main villain that causes a lot of issues for Lucifer. Because in his own selfish way he doesn't want to be the one sent to rule hell because
Exactly.
that's his fear, which is why he tries to get Lucifer to go back. I can't remember if we mentioned it in the summary, but like I know we talked about it before, was that he's been in LA for like 5 years prior to the start of the show. So he's actually like been in LA for what's a considerable amount of time, and uh, left hell unattended for all of that time. And Amenadiel is just like, please, please go back.
Go. I
But
don't
now
want to
with
go
like
down there.
exactly, and but now that Lucifer met like Detective Decker, like he's so intrigued by her, like he doesn't want to go back because he wants to figure out what's happening with Chloe. Yeah, so it's really interesting to see or to remember Amenadiel was the season 1 villain.
Yeah, like yeah, it's interesting to see like although like he's always kind of tried to see the best in Lucifer, he was originally the one that kind of perpetuated the viewpoint of seeing the worst in Lucifer and wanting him to go back.
Yeah, because he thought he was so noble at that point in the
Mm-hmm.
show. Like, he's God's favorite, not Lucifer anymore. And that this is what his well, that's something that I think Amenadiel says even in the later parts of the show, is that he would just blindly follow, dad, and not really like ask questions or figure out if what they're doing is worth that.
Yeah, true. Fact.
I mean, he in that. Oh, another thing that from season 1 was like, along with Amenadiel, like trying to get Lucifer back to hell, like part of his way of doing it is almost like using humans as pawns to
Mm.
to to get his goal. So like he like recitates like, or wait, was resurrects is the right word. This like corrupt cop that we find out worked with Dan, and that Dan was part of like the corruption scheme, and like brings him back to like, and threatens him, and wreaks havoc and uses this resurrected bad guy to like kill Lucifer so that he can go back to hell.
True. I think his name was like Malcolm or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was such a small character. Like he was honestly there to like be a pawn, and then also to like, I guess, threaten and scare Detective Daniel,
Yeah.
and make us realize that like, this guy isn't a good, like as good of a guy that like maybe he thinks he was, or like was trying to play off in front of Lucifer.
Yeah, it also kind of shows like kind of the fallacies that like he might be thinking that he's doing so good, but in actuality, in trying to like do what he think is right, he's doing so many other wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
I
true.
mean, it was a great way of making the audience also not like
Yeah.
Detective Douche, like, and to support Lucifer more. And I think that's like the craziest part of the show is like, before this, everyone has like the like preconception that like Lucifer or the devil is bad, and like he's the the person that is lying to you and like manipulates you into to doing bad things so you can go to hell. But like they take on a very different point of view of like what his role is, or that like, or the fact that Lucifer actually doesn't lie. Like that's like one of his things. Like he
Yeah.
does not lie, and or that he doesn't he doesn't manipulate, and like that hell isn't about, you know, he doesn't determine if you go to hell. It's based off of your own guilt in yourself,
Yeah.
whether you go or not.
For sure. I think that's really interesting. Like, I would think one of the, not like coolest things, but one of the like unique things is that they ensure that like Lucifer doesn't like lie. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
such a big thing, and that's like in like later seasons, that's like one of his like key personality traits that showcase to people that like he is who he says he is and stuff like that.
Yeah, like people, it's up to you whether you believe him, and then that's like, especially seasons like 1 and 2, like he's not hiding truths from anybody, but they just choose not to believe him or continue to believe what they want to believe.
Yeah.
And so it kind of keeps him guilt free, I think, not having to lie,
Mhm.
because he sees what those guilts do to people.
Yeah.
So by having those vows of like, not, he won't lie to people. He's not saying he will hide, like he'll hide truths. Like
He will
don't get us,
omit.
like he's not like pure, yeah, but he doesn't directly like say a lie, because that's just not something he's gonna do.
Yeah, for sure. I think okay, so moving on to, so like the first and second season I feel like are both very dedicated to making sure Lucifer goes back down to hell. And so like the first in the first season it's kind of Amenadiel that kind of does that, and in the second season you have Uriel, who is also an angel and like one of God's sons, but he's like the younger brother. Um and so he basically is seeing that Chloe Decker is posing a problem to his plans. And to Lucifer, like she's the one barrier to getting Lucifer back in hell, and so he kind of wants
Mm-hmm.
to eliminate her. And so Lucifer, who has grown fond of the detective, is doing everything he can to like be like, "Yo, that's not cool. Stop that shit."
Mm-hmm. I think uh, is the mom storyline start in season
Yeah, as
2,
well.
right? Like by like letting out Malcolm from hell, it opens up like a hole that their mom also leaves hell through,
Mm-hmm.
and enters like a recently deceased body of Charlotte Richards. So like that's also happening in like the background, as and they're trying to figure that out, or like what's going on with their mom there,
Mm-hmm.
alongside like with their other family members trying to send them where they need to go.
Yeah.
um I think that's like a big pattern maybe in season 2, is like also Lucifer has like that, we mentioned, like a bodyguard or friend, Maze, right? And she really, I think that
She
was
like
like season 2 was like the
hates.
season she was just like really mad, because like, you know, hell was her home, and like Lucifer didn't consider it home, but for her that's where she literally was raised,
Mm-hmm.
and it is her home, and all of her siblings are down there as demons. So she really wanted to go back, but like Lucifer was like kind of like not letting her want to do that, because he quote unquote needed her,
Yeah. It
even though
sucks.
like she, no, you're fine, like a very valid point of like, what was it like that, when we're like, you don't really need me, you just say that because whenever Chloe's not around you need me.
Yeah. And like I think she's kind of seeing cuz like I think both of their times on earth have kind of humanized them and caused them to like see the flaws in their like previous ways, but also in like how they expected the system to be, I guess. And so
Mm,
during this time, like Maze is also figuring out like where she wants to be, where she belongs, how she fits, and she's starting to question Lucifer a bit more, I think. Especially when his mother comes back and he starts to like trust her again. Cuz
mm,
like Maze is from the beginning like adamantly like, no, get away, like you were always bad, you were never good for Lucifer, and like you kind
mm,
of didn't do anything. Because like when Lucifer, like the reason why he got kicked out or like banished to hell is because he led a rebellion against God, and like
Yeah.
how God was basically like being controlling of every human on earth, and he was like, yo, like I don't really connect with that, I don't want that anymore. And so
Hmm.
he like did that, he got cast out, and like the mom did not do anything. And so Maze
Yeah.
saw Lucifer at his lowest point after being abandoned by everyone he knew and everyone he thought cared about him. And so I think she holds on to that like very, very tightly um, for a while.
Yeah. And I think that's like a very consistent insecurity that Maze deals with throughout like probably the first couple seasons is going from Lucifer's closest companion to like
Mm.
within one episode that we see or one case in their lives being second best or like not even in the top 3 because he starts to get so close with Detective Decker, and then in season 2 Mom comes in and she starts to get pushed back in his life, and it's frustrating because it's like you uprooted me from
Yeah.
my house, my home, so that I could support you and be your friend and your guardian. But then you now don't need me and you rely on other people, but you won't let me go back.
Exactly. And I
Or
think,
you won't let me figure out who I am without you.
yeah, and I think like the whole thing is like they've been with each other from like basically jump, and like they have been the only two people that they can rely on basically. Cuz like Maze was
Mm-hmm.
like the closest demon friend servant thing that Lucifer had down in hell, and that's why he kind of chose to bring her up with him. And so like now to see like it's no longer like Maze and Lucifer against the world, it's like Lucifer's branching out and she hasn't really done that,
Mm-hmm.
is like it's hard on her. And so I think that's why eventually she goes to Linda and she befriends Linda,
Yeah.
to get the same sort of friendship that she's seen Lucifer like benefit from.
I think it's just simply like, yeah, having a companion that isn't based off of a job
Yeah.
and it's actually meant for emotional growth. And like, um, you know, I'm gonna like fast forward like into season 5 where she start like for all of these seasons, she's really like growing in herself and understanding that she has emotions, she has
Mhm.
her baggage that she deals with, and that um, you know, and so slowly she starts to realize that she wants to be more human
Mhm.
than demon. And the biggest barrier that keeps her from being, I guess, considered a human is having a soul, and that she really wants that. And I think Maze is one of the most interestingly complex characters of the
Oh,
show
definitely.
because she has so many emotions due to like years of like having to be a servant, and everything was like laid out for her from the moment she was born. And as being humans ourselves, we absolutely have no idea the life of a demon and like how to depict it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really like up on like the actress that plays her to like really show like, you know, how she's like very hot tempered and like makes in extremely rash decisions and changes sides constantly, and is so upset about the world and everybody around her, but like also will defend those that she loves and like will always be there for her friends even if she's like extremely mad at them.
Yeah, I think like like okay, so all of the characters like throughout these seasons have developed like so much. Oh god. So much, and that like sorry guys, and that like you get to see them grow into like more like full bodied like people in term like more complexities and more intricacies. But I think Maze is one of the cooler ones because like in the first season alone you see her kind of use like sex and physicality to like as her primary stuff, but as you go like primary to like in her relationships, but as you go further and further into the seasons, you see how like she starts cultivating more emotional connections, whether it be
Yeah.
like with Linda or like with Amenadiel or eventually Eve and things like that. And she learns to love.
Or even Trixie, you know, like
Yeah.
she like really cares about Trixie, you know, and when she hurt Trixie's feelings at one point by
Mm.
saying something like about how she doesn't care about Trixie, like it hurt her because she was losing what she considered a friend
Yeah.
at that time, even though they were like completely different and different ages. Like she really connected, and I think she struggles with like being like, I shouldn't be able to connect, but I am, and but then I push people away or like they leave me. So how do I get people to stay or want to be with me?
Yeah, and like, okay, something I've noticed, like, now that I think about it more, and like, season 5 definitely brought it up, is that like, Lucifer kind of like still only sees Maze as like a one dimensional type character, and that like, still just like his demon person, like his demon friend.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, and most of season 5 was
yeah,
them spent separately dealing with their things separately and rarely coming. They only came together towards the end of the season when Chloe gets kidnapped.
yeah, and like, that's like one of the things that kind of like it started to irk me the more I noticed it is like he kept saying like you're just a demon or like sorry I can't do that while he focuses on his troubles. And so like season 5 she's like finally like I've had enough of this. Like I'm worth
Yeah.
more, I'm valuable. And like I think losing her mom like really did that too.
Oh yeah, and I think, but I will say maybe in Lucifer's defense on that one, it's because he hasn't seen all the progressions
Yeah.
and emotional growth that she has to go through, especially in just one season, right? Like he doesn't know that Lilith died.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how, like, why she's upset at him, and like that's something that like even Amenadiel says, and was like, you haven't even told him why you're mad, and you expect him to understand you
Yeah.
and then see you for what you want him to see you as. And like, yes, it sounds cold when Lucifer says like, you're just a demon, you can't have a soul, you're just this, you're just that, and that's obviously what's fueling her anger. But like, it's
She also hasn't
he's
expressed
also
it.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, and like he's also saying that because that's what he's always said and it's never affected her
Yeah, but I do
before.
think like also he is growing and that like and he's I think he has the potential to see Maze how she wants to be seen and like view her as
Mm-hmm.
such because like even with like season 5 when he comes back from hell and Maze is like, "Why didn't you take me with you? I thought like we would go together." And he was like, "Maze, you're not my servant anymore. I didn't want to drag you down with me if that's not something you wanted to do." And she was like, "I can't get down there because I don't have wings." And then he was like, "But Amenadiel does. You could have just asked him to bring you down." And so I think he has definitely the potential. It's just a matter of like communicating those concerns and
Yeah,
communicating
I was gonna
everything.
say, like that's the tough, but like that's like a tough line
Yeah.
because I think there's still showing that he still is very selfish in his own
Mhm.
emotions. Like he doesn't realize he has them maybe, or that they're when they're happening, like he needs someone to translate it for him. So when it comes to like other people, he definitely doesn't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And the difficulties that Maze is going through, he can't relate to because like even he says it, like they're angels, they have souls, they have the potential for falling in love and all these things. Demons shouldn't because they don't have souls, or getting a soul as a demon is impossible. And so I think he says like, you could have come down whenever, but I think in her head she's like, how am I supposed to know? You never said those things, you never communicated to
Yeah.
me that I have those options, because that's how her life has functioned based off of what someone else tells
All
her.
I'm saying is that communication is key in any friendship, relationship, whatever.
Of course, that this show is very much about communication, and they do a good job of showing like lack of can ruin things, and then and then quickly fixes up when they do start talking to one
Oh
another.
yeah, like definitely like season 5 especially because I mean, you've already had the spoiler alert, but like Chloe and Lucifer start like getting into a more intimate, more relationship type vibe.
Oh my god! Finally, after
Finally, after
like
5 seasons of build
seasons,
up, or like 4.5
yeah.
seasons of build up. But yeah, and like at one point, like they have sex, and like he's like, "You stole my mojo. You stole like my power of persuasion, my like what is it you desire type thing." And
Yeah.
so like he was mad at her for that, and he was acting like kind of childish and kind of immature. And Chloe was like, "Yo, this is cool, but like." and she was open to having that conversation, but it wasn't until they actually had that conversation that they were good, that they were chilling, before Lucifer was just like, oh, like, I hate this, why is this like a thing?
Yeah, and I think that's, yeah, I mean, he's never been, well,
He's never
I want to
been in
say
a
like he's never
human
been in like,
relationship, I feel like.
yeah, like I mean, Eve is
Ooh, that's
human, right?
true.
Like a serious human relationship. Like I think that's why I was gonna say like Eve was his like
I
first
love.
love essentially. Well, they say that, but I don't
I don't
think.
think he loved her. I think she loved him, and he was
Yeah,
in love with maybe the idea of her.
something like that, or just like the fun that they
Yeah.
had together. Like they were very similar in being, what's the word, laissez-faire, like
They were like,
very
woohoo! At least the
loose.
like the old Lucifer, I guess. Like,
Yeah, and then that's what he wanted at that time. But then with Chloe, he's like sees like a serious relationship with, and doesn't like. I think losing Eve was tough, but not something that he wanted to prevent. And
yeah.
then with Chloe, it's like he wants to try everything in his power to get this to work, to almost like prove to people that this can work in a
Way. Yeah,
sense.
like I think definitely, but I also think um because of that whole like vulnerability thing that we touched on earlier, like Chloe's the only one that is like able to kind of make him vulnerable, like, because he can only get hurt when Chloe is around, right? And so I think
Yeah.
kind of that self-actualization in season 5, where it's like maybe Lucifer is vulnerable around you because, and like physically vulnerable around you, because he feels like he can take his walls down around you. And so like I
Hmm.
think that sort of vulnerability is not something he's ever had before and ever chosen to have around someone, which is why I think
Yeah,
he's
which is what
so
makes,
so wanting to keep that and protect and preserve
yeah,
it.
yeah, again, like, which is what makes Chloe different than anyone else
Mm-hmm.
he's been with.
They're so cute together.
I mean, it's been like long awaited. Like I
Thank
know that.
God.
I'm trying to think back to like our personal timelines of watching this show, right? I think I watched it first
Yes.
my freshman like our freshman year at college, and then I came back and I was like, "Oh my god, guys, like you need to watch this
I think
show called
actually
Lucifer."
one of our friends actually like recommended it, and then you like corroborated with, and you were like, "Yeah, I just watched it. It was so good."
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
then
don't think I had a recommendation to watch it. I watched it on my own, and then
yeah.
I was like telling everyone to get on the bandwagon and watch it. And this was, so at this point, right? Seasons 1 through 3 got onto Netflix, and then I think it was very close around the time where like technically season 4 wasn't supposed to come,
Yeah, and then
and
Netflix
then
picked it up because they saw the hype.
yeah, yeah, and then so people were watching it now because it's like supposed to be like a Netflix original show with season 4 on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, yeah, you started watching it
I was like,
season 4.
because like I have like a weird, because like originally I was like, Lucifer, like, really, am I gonna watch a show named after like the Lucifer, like? And then like I got the recommendation from you and then like another person. I was like, you know what, give it a shot. And like I was hooked because like one, I love like the crime type TV shows, and two,
Yeah, that's like a
and then
go-to.
like the backstories are really interesting. Like the different takes they have on like Amenadiel or Uriel or like Cain and Abel or like
But like you, as you said, you have like a more personal relationship with this storyline than I do. Like I know nothing about the Christianity,
aspect
I
of it.
guess, aspects of the show. I know like very subtle things, like obviously Adam and Eve, and
Yeah.
like then like how Lucifer ties into that, or how Lilith ties into
Mm.
that. And so I know like bare minimum enough to know, like, that they are taking their creative twists
Yeah.
on the storylines, but I didn't go in with that same.
Yeah. And like the thing is like that I also kind of find interesting is like for me, even though like I do have like a connection to like Christianity or whatever thing, the way I view kind of this storyline is like similar to how like Greek and like Roman mythology like stories are. Like it's talk of the gods and like all the people that are related to gods in those stories. And so I think that's kind of how I viewed it, and like that makes it so much more interesting because like before, like I wasn't really super aware of like Amenadiel and Uriel. Like I knew the archangels like Gabriel and Michael and all of them, but like I didn't connect it like that.
The popular ones, the ones that are
You
always
know?
shown.
True, but like yeah, so I think it's really cool. Like the whole premise of this show is really really intriguing to me.
Yeah, I mean it's actually based off a comic book that I have not read or looked at or seen in any
Mm.
way, but I do know that it exists, and it's what actually pushed this show
Mm.
to come out. Originally, the show was on Fox, and
Ooh.
I remember I remember at some point, like, like you said, like, because of the name and the premise of, like, almost showing this inverse view where, like, Lucifer is the good guy and the angels are the bad guys and the manipulators in the show,
Yeah.
that it caused a lot of backlash from certain viewers that did not like
They're like, how could you do
it being
this?
portrayed that
Like,
way. Yeah, that it is very incorrect, or you are showing lies or manipulating the
mm.
viewers to believe that Lucifer is a good guy. Um,
At the end of the day, it's like it's for the sole purpose of entertainment, and so that's why like I don't think you necessarily have to take any of this to heart. Like it is so out of this world that like it is what it is. Um,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, okay. Can we please talk about Ella Lopez? She is by far, I think, one of my favorite characters in the series. And in season 5, season 4, season 5 especially, like I think before she was a supporting character, but now she's gotten like more of a main role, and we've actually gotten to
yeah.
see.
She came in season
Mm-hmm.
3 as like a reoccurring role.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
like now
and then became like a main
now we
one
get to
by
see like
now.
I love seeing like because like when she came in season 3 she was kind of a complete unknown, super positive, super happy type um personality and like really just like wholesome. But like in season 4 and season 5 you kind of see the darker side to her and like some of the trials that she's been through, but also like some of her flaws because you see her kind of a lot of the times as like this god like believer in God and like very like kind of like
She
forgiving
has a lot of
and
faith in
faith.
people,
Yeah,
and
she's like
believes that things happen for certain reasons.
exactly. And like you see her like you see when she struggles with faith and you see um kind of like her family and like dating life and stuff like that. And I think it's really cool to get to know her a bit more as a character.
Yeah, I think she's like so like positive and uplifting of a character. It's nice to see in like a show that deals with like a lot of the typical
Yeah.
manipulations of life. And I laugh as I say the word manipulation because that's probably the most used word on that show, and it's said so many times by Lucifer because that's like the only way to describe like how I guess he feels his dad slash God
Like
like
yeah.
deals with everything. um oh yeah, but Ella is like really cool. I mean, I think it was such a I think it was season 4 where they brought up the concept that she had like a guardian
Oh
angel,
yeah.
and that and that it actually is revealed as an actual angel,
Mhm.
like Lucifer's sister that looks after
But it's
her for
actually
when she
the
was younger.
angel of death.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
really? Oh yeah, she just like follows her because
Yeah.
she likes her and she wants to be there for her. And yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that was also like a cute thing because like Ella says that I think that time in her life is when she became more religious
Mm.
because she felt the presence of, I think,
An angel
God
or
in her
God
life.
or
Yeah, and so it's cool how they show those connections. I think she also knows like she's also flawed in her own ways. Like even though she's like uplifting and positive and religious and obviously a good citizen, like she still has her flaws with like the way she was raised or grew up or like the path she could have gone. And then on top of that, right, she's like, but she goes for like these bad guys or
oh
whatever.
yeah, that was a whole
And
thing.
that's, yeah. I mean, that it ended up biting her, right?
Oh
In season
my.
5.
Like I just like the whole ending for Ella in season 5. I just felt so bad because she's such a positive influence. I feel like she's Like, again, super uplifting. And, like, the ending was kind of like a kick in the stomach or like a stab in the back almost.
Oh my god, yeah. I feel like she's a character that did not
She did
deserve that kind
not.
of
And so, like,
ending.
now I feel like, I think in like the second part of season 5, we'll definitely see like kind of a more broken version of Ella, which I'm really gonna be sad to see.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna. You know what? It's also sad, and we never even mentioned through all of this, is that this is like the last season.
Oh
I don't know if you
yeah.
realize that this is like technically the reason it's split into two parts is because it's like this
Wait, there's no
finale of
season
the show.
6?
No, I think they announced that season 5 would be their last season, which I thought was sad that they like went through all that to get like picked up by Netflix, and then but in Netflix's defense, maybe I think the writers and like the producers just felt like they needed like a couple more seasons to wrap up the show without it feeling like dragged or extended.
Mm-hmm.
So, only another half season of like of Decker Star and seeing these characters, but
Damn.
yeah.
It is. See, oh wait. No, they got renewed for season 6.
Oh, did they
Yeah, I
really?
just checked it. I hope I'm not
Oh, I
wrong.
thought I thought that they said that season 5 was supposed to be the last
See, but then
season.
apparently
Series finale, like that was like its marketing
Netflix
plug.
had second thoughts. Yeah,
Oh,
it's renewed
maybe.
for season
Well,
6,
it's been doing really good.
but season 6 will be the final one.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
I
dang.
know, that's so exciting. I love the show.
Well, that's why I thought they split it into two parts, was because
Yeah.
it was the finale. I mean, they did that for another show, Alexa and Katie. They split up the last season into two
Oh,
parts to
true.
like amp up the
Excitement, I guess.
excitement of the show, like excitement for the end of the
See,
show, even
I
though that's
I
never
thought they
exciting.
split it up because of like this whole COVID pandemic. They didn't get to film everything. Like a lot of shows like kind of got shut down mid-production. So I was
Oh,
like,
that's it.
"Oh,
But they would have filmed this last
really?"
year. I think they were filming this end of like after season 4. Like once they get the renewal, right? They go into like
Um,
production and then they film like the end of 2019, and then until and yeah, probably for the second part they had to go into like 2020, and then up until now would have been like editing and post production.
that makes sense. Yeah, but okay, so we have 1.5 more seasons to look forward to. I'm sure like season 6 will be like maybe 10 episodes max, and then they'll kind of cut it there.
Yeah, this show has gone through a blender and back. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know if that's the right saying. I think I just like butchered that. But like the first like 3 seasons, or like the first season wasn't even a full season, and then second and third seasons were like a full like 20 episode kind
Yeah.
of season, and then because of the Netflix renewal, Netflix doesn't do more than like 11 episodes for
I don't
American TV
understand.
shows.
I don't.
So then you hit that episode count, and now we got 8 for this first part, another 8 for probably the second part. It's like
Like, why? Like, why? Just give us a
all over
full,
the
like,
place.
nice. Like, see, I've been, like, watching a lot of shows lately, and, like, a bunch of them, like, go up to 22. And I'm like, if only Netflix did the same thing.
Well, yeah, that's like regular cable television does 22
Hmm.
episodes that are like 45 minutes
Yeah.
long. And then Netflix does 10 to 11 episodes that are like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes long per
So length
episode
is,
with no
yeah,
ads.
that's true.
So,
I will say.
yeah.
Okay, also, one person I do want to touch on, because I think like we've hit most of the people, is Dr. Linda Martin, because
Oh,
she
yeah.
definitely like, okay, so she started out in like a sexual transaction type of relationship with Lucifer when he
Yeah, she
was,
had sex with Lucifer in like the
yeah,
first couple
she
seasons,
like
or first couple seasons,
episodes, but
episodes.
yeah, no, I feel like in the beginning she sort of acts as like Lucifer's moral compass of sorts, in that like he is trying to figure out what it means to be human and like what it means to do good things, and so she's kind of like his direction. And so I think it's very interesting, just like her role, but also she's a psychiatrist, so like psychology.
That yeah, you love her for that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um
um, yeah. I mean, I think she is overlooked at how important she is in Lucifer's emotional
mhm.
growth, and I will say not maturity. Like even she doesn't agree that
Yeah.
he's matured much, but like that he's understanding that he has emotions, or that it's, you know, the way he's looking at life and like at people and himself really has changed a lot with the help of Linda. I mean, she's important enough to have been the first person that he shows his face to.
That's true. And like the person he trusts, like when he actually reveals like Amenadiel's true nature, or like Charlotte Richards, like when she is his mom and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like she's been there with him from almost the very beginning. I don't remember when he shows her his true devil face. I think it was at the end of season
Yeah.
1. And so the longest time like that someone has known his true nature, like, or actually believed his true nature, has been
Yeah.
her. And you know, now she's like literally family, because like she had a kid with a
Yeah.
Menadil, and Charlie is the name of the
Such a
kid,
cute
and like
kid,
that's
man. Such a cute kid.
Lucifer's nephew. Yeah. So, you know, she has like a very integrated role. We find out that she has another kid
Yeah, which is
from when she was
why,
17.
yeah, I think that's really, again, I love season 5 because it gives us so many little looks into who the other more supporting, technically, I guess, characters are. It's not just Lucifer, Chloe, or like Dan or like Amenadiel. It's now going into Ella and going into Linda.
Yeah, that's very true. Seasons 1 through 4 looked at, again, if you look at like Linda only, because she's been like the longest like main character, but also like side character in the storyline, like very superficially at
Yeah.
just like how they react to situations or like events that are happening in Lucifer's life, rather than emotional or past related things in their lives. Like this is the first season where we've actually even known anything about Linda's past.
Yeah. I think like also that's like attributed to like she's no longer like the therapist kind of relationship with like Lucifer. It's more of like a friend, family member type thing. And that goes for like Maze as well as Chloe even. And Amenadiel, it's transitioned from like the kind of patient doctor type of feel, if there was that type of relationship before, into more of like a friend, like mutual type deal.
Yeah, she kind of lost that like doctor like esque vibe towards like 4 and 5,
Yeah.
season 4 and 5. Um, we use her office less, and it's more her
Home,
home,
yeah.
as she's taking care of Charlie, showing like almost like the growth of her relationship with these people, that they're no longer just patients, they're true
They
friends
come
and
over to her
family that
house
she
randomly.
that come over to her house to talk, and like she's dealing with her own personal life while also being there for her friends.
Yeah. She definitely kind of, I feel like she, in a lot of ways, she carries like the emotional part of like her entire friend group on her back a lot, because she takes in so much of like what's going on for other people along with her own shit, and she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily always like express how she's doing.
Yeah, that's true. I think the only person where she really gets to like talk about her own emotions is with Maze.
Yeah.
And even then, it's hard for her to talk to Maze because
Exactly.
it gets twisted against her, or used as a device to like help Maze's feelings out
Yeah.
more,
And so then
which is tough.
it becomes less about like helping her and like venting, and more like helping Maze. So again, like the focus, as sad as it is, the focus is never necessarily on Linda and like figuring out her problems until maybe season 5, I feel like.
Yeah, there's a chance that with Charlie now being more focused on
Yeah.
with like Amenadiel's fears, and also they obviously brought up this older child storyline
Mm.
for a reason. Though they'll all like tie together with Michael and come in, I think, towards the end of this season.
Yeah, I am so excited for the end of the season. I don't know when they're releasing it, but I'm excited.
I think they're I don't know what when this is August of 2020. They might not release it till like maybe end of the year or like into
I
next
swear,
year.
if it's 2021, I'm gonna be so sad.
I have a feeling it might be because I think they wait a couple months. I mean, okay, like all I can think about is that show Alexa and Katie where they did this like to split up. I think they waited this like 2 months.
Okay, I can wait 2 months.
Right? Was it 2 months or am I mistaken on that one?
Hold up.
I have a feeling it wasn't too long apart, so you didn't have to forget what happened in the first part of the season, but it was long enough to make you need to wait for it.
Okay. So basically, I'm looking into this, and then after that, we can like call it. But basically, so they still have to film like over half of the season 5 finale because it's the only episode that wasn't completed in filming because of the coronavirus shutdown.
Oh damn!
So they
So we
still have
actually
to
don't
go
know.
through that. So it's probably going to come out like late or no, probably earlier 2021 than like late 2020. Sadly.
So unfortunately, we'll have to wait even longer
Yes.
for the end of the
Uh-huh.
season.
So sad.
Yay!
It's fine. It's fine. I think I don't know. Do you have anything else that we want
There's
to
so
talk
much
about?
more. I
There
think
is.
that's the tough
Yeah.
part with TV shows is there's so much content to go into. Like last week, I felt like there was like a proper cutoff point because we got to the end of the movie, like
Yeah.
because we kind of felt like we went chronologically in it. But with a TV show, it's like there's so much like character growth that you can like analyze, especially in Lucifer, where like it literally changes by each season. But we can't touch on,
Exactly. And there's so
yeah.
much material too. Like all of the plot lines and such. But hey, when Lucifer season
Oh
5B
my god.
comes out, we'll
Just
reroute
another whole
this.
episode talking about Lucifer again.
Lucifer Part 2, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, we like barely talked about major like story things that happened in this part of the season. More we just talked about the characters and stuff. So when I say that there's even more we could talk about, it's like so overwhelming to think about how much there really is.
Very true. But I hope to everyone that's listening got a little bit more idea about like the characters and like how good of a show Lucifer is and how well it does character development over a
Yeah,
long
compared
term
to a lot of other
progression.
shows that I've watched where I've told my friends this is like I struggle with really drama based shows. Like, I love it, but at
Yes.
the same time, like I'm not able to go through the full like season or something because it gets so overwhelming with all of the emotions.
And so much like
And
random
yeah, the
stuff
storyline goes
happens.
all like kind of like it like branches off in so many different directions and it doesn't really come together at a point and it gets frustrating to watch the characters make the same mistakes over and over again. But with this show it doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like that, and I think it's one of the main things that makes it an appealing show that you can watch or binge at least.
Yes, definitely a bingeable TV show.
Yeah, I think so that we're not making this much longer than it needs to be, this is going to be where we wrap it up for ourselves and for you guys.
Yes, uh, definitely recommend
Yeah, we,
watching
we
this.
we had that going from the
Um,
beginning. We were way biased from the
yeah,
start.
like I'm sure you know, but like quick takeaway for you guys, definitely watch this show. You can binge it, you can watch it over like months or weeks, but definitely take the time to
Fall in love
watch.
with Tom Ellis like we did, and then
Oh my god,
you'll be
yes.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
Solid, solid. All right, bye guys.
Bye. We'll see you next week.
See ya.